How's it going, John?
Hey, Eric. It is going well for me. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. I'm very excited.
Congratulations are in order.
Yes, the app was approved. So it managed to make it all the way through the App Store review process. It's out and available. CastSnip.com. You can go download it, rate it, say something nice.
Say something nice. And take some snips and share them on social media.
Yeah.
Want to see it happen. I took a snip of the of the title from last week, and then immediately after doing it, I was like, okay, I have a feature request, which is really ironic because I've played with it quite a bit over the last number of weeks or month and a half, and it wasn't until it was practically out that I was like, oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, okay, I need a feature. Congratulations, I think it's cool.
We'll see what anybody else thinks. Now I just got to figure out how to market it. I don't know how to get the word out.
Unfortunately, for a developer, writing the code is not the primary indicator of likely success. That's why it's good to do stuff that you want to use regardless.
Yep.
So how about this week? Anything else happen this week?
No, that was pretty much it.
I have a bit of follow-up this week. Or one piece of follow-up at least, which I have to say that I don't always listen to the episodes that we record, especially if I've edited them. But I did last week because I wound up editing quite a bit. And so I wanted to see really how it had come out going from front to end. And I have to say that as I was listening to myself say multiple times a SHA-256 signing a signature or a SHA-1 signature, I winced. I winced and winced and winced. And I'm like, come on, John, you know better. Because SHA-1, SHA-256, those are hashing algorithms, not signing algorithms. And it's just pure laziness to say something like that, or habit, I guess, but it would be a very bad habit, and I don't think that I'm in that habit. Anyway.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't pick it up until you mentioned it.
Okay.
That doesn't
really make me feel any better. I'm sorry.
I tried.
It's not you, it's me. So I just would like to say that I am well aware that a SHA-1 or a SHA-256 is not able to sign anything. It is a hash function. So we can put a link in this bit of follow-up to Wikipedia on hash-based message authentication code. So, which is basically, it's a combination of a hash and a key, a cryptographic key, where if you've got a bunch of text, you can hash it. So now you have the hash of that, and then you sign the hash, essentially. So that tells you both that the thing hasn't been tampered with, because if so, just the hash, if you transmit the hash, you would know, oh, okay, it hasn't been tampered with. But by signing the hash, now you know not only has it not been tampered with, but that the originator or the person that signed it really signed the original value of the whatever the thing is. So anyway,
in theory, that the hash hadn't been tampered with either.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, because if all you have is document and the hash of the document, well, and I can control both of them, then I can modify the document and I can modify the hash and give you both of those. Say, see, yes, these match. Anyway, It doesn't matter. I just really, really felt as I was listening last week, going, "Oh, John, anyway, that was wrong." So anyway, mea culpa. And with that, I've got it off my chest. All right, we can move on. We can move on to topics. We can move on to topics. All right. Give me a topic. What you got for me this week?
So my topic this week comes from Krebs on security, on why phone numbers stink as identity proof. We've talked about this occasionally in the past about phone numbers and SIM swapping attacks where if you use your cell phone as your second factor and someone steals your account, then they can get access to your accounts and hijack the account. So this was an interview with Allison Nixon, who's the director of security research at a firm, a cybersecurity firm. And he talks to her about different experiences with cell phones and using cell phone numbers as identity. And one of the things that kind of starts the article is a lot of accounts for different services you use online will now allow you to log in by phone number. Mm-hmm. And the example that they brought up is if you go to, yahoo.com and click login, and then instead of typing in your username, you type in a phone number, it will say, hey, do you want me to send you a text message to log you in? Mm-hmm. And trying to make it easy for people to log in. And this is great if you have always owned that phone number. But a lot of people have cell phone numbers turnover. Oh, so if you forget to go out and change your cell phone number off your Yahoo account, because maybe it's not something you use a lot, someone could potentially log in as you if they get your phone number. All these cell phone numbers, there's just not enough cell phone numbers around to not reuse them.
Sure.
So, and there's a story in here about how somebody actually went through and they typed in their number, they logged in, and then all of a sudden they realized they were reading not their email, but the email of the previous owner of whoever that cell phone was.
Right. I still get wrong numbers called for the person who had the number before me. His name's Scott, just FYI.
Yeah. My number I have had for a good 20 plus years, since, well, maybe not quite that long, but when I moved to Oregon, I got cell phone numbers, and for years, it wasn't until probably 10, 15 years, I would get calls for, it was a contractor, and I would get debt collectors trying to call and collect on, hey, this person isn't paying their bills to whatever, it's like a lumber yard saying, hey, they're hunting him down.
You're like, it's not me.
What am I going to do? Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do? And the guy's dad actually called me once looking for him. And he was confused that I was not his son, and why did I have his son's phone? This was 5 years into having the phone. So kind of got a little sidetracked there. But the long and the short, or the short of this one really is, if you are someone, the article is good because it's an interview kind of back and forth about different aspects around using mobile phone numbers as a way to prove your identity and why it's such a bad idea. Mm-hmm. But if you are someone who has changed their mobile number quite a bit, or for whatever reason, passed cell phone numbers around, this is something you should pay attention to and maybe think about is, do your other accounts, have you ever signed up for anything with a mobile phone number? Because it's so easy and it's kind of encouraged now.
Right. Well, it's a recovery mode.
Yeah.
Which, it's hard to lose your password, and it's a good way to recover if you can. The problem is that means that access to your cell phone may be all that's required to hijack an account, any account, not just your mail account. And your mail account, which is the most likely for you to have to use something simple like that to recover, is probably the key to many of your other accounts.
Right.
Which is, it's semi-related to this, but this week I had a situation where I have an account where I'm realizing after the fact that I was on a machine that I haven't yet installed 1Password on, and I was trying to install I was trying to log into a app that I thought I knew the password, or a website that I thought I knew the password for. I was like, but it was an app, or it's a website that has a separate code, one of the like an authenticator.
Right.
And so I typed in my password 3 times basically, and then it said, "All right, your account's locked." And I was like, "What? I know this password." And I was like, "Well, okay, recover." And the only thing it needed to recover was the security code, like from the authenticator. And that was it. And then it was like, "Give me a new password." Okay, you're in. I was like, "Wait a minute. Shouldn't I require a second factor? Like for like changing the password, right? You know what I mean?" It seemed like, wait a second, that was a little too easy. I mean, I guess it's better-ish than just an SMS or an email. But if you send me an email, then I have to log into my email account with a password. And anyway, it was kind of one of those weird things where I was like, wait a second, that account recovery didn't seem right. Anyway,
right.
Kind of along these lines though of recovering your account via another mechanism. Anyway.
Yeah. So, and again, if only a password is okay, as long as you're using a reasonably decent password.
A password manager.
Adding some kind of password manager.
So long as you're using a password that you can't remember and you need a password manager to remember it, then you're good. Ish.
Yeah. And then if SMS is the only option, okay, that's still better for your second factor, especially for accounts that are important, like bank accounts or email accounts or things that could be damaging to you personally if you lost control of them. I don't know how damaging personally something would be to me if I lost access to, I don't know, my Instagram account.
Yeah,
bummer. But if I lost access to my bank account,
meals that they ate. Oh wait, sorry.
Right. So, use a second factor of some sort, and if you can, use a authenticator type app or not SMS if that's a possibility. So it's just, slowly, wherever you're at on the security spectrum, just slowly start up in your game.
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's cool. I see you have a second topic.
I have a second topic, which maybe this one will be fast because kind of it goes along with my mobile phone theme for tonight. There was an article in ZDNet that talks about 2/3 of all Android antivirus apps are frauds.
Oh, man.
And so there are tons of antivirus apps on the Google Play Store. AV Comparatives, it's a testing organization. They tested 250 different antivirus apps that are available on the Android store. Only 80 of them even passed a basic detection test. And the basic detection test was, the bar was they detect 30% of malware that AV Comparatives threw at it.
Oh my gosh, 30%.
And only 23 of the 250 apps, so less than 10%, actually hit 100% of the detection tests. And I mean, it's just hilarious. Some of the antivirus apps by default mark any app on the user's phone as malicious, and then they just had a whitelist of package names. And if your app didn't fit the package name, then it was deemed malicious so that they could say they caught something. But my favorite line in there is, there were apparently a couple antivirus apps that forgot to put their own package names in the whitelist. And so when the antivirus app ran, it flagged itself as malware. So
it's like those scams on PCs. Your computer's running slowly.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So none of them were real, actual antivirus. So just if you have Android and you are worried about malware on your Android phone, probably downloading something for free that will show you ads is not much more than a placebo.
Well, and could actually actively harm your ability to use your phone. So
exactly.
I'm looking at this list. It doesn't, this article. It doesn't show the list of the 23 that worked.
No, it just kind of leaves them there. But you can probably guess which. So your legitimate security companies. You could probably go through the list. Are the ones on the list that actually work.
Okay,
there you go.
I did click through to the actual AV comparatives link and
right.
The people that got the 100% on this is like the easiest test of all are the ones you would expect.
But my favorite part of that one is the sentence: the report's results are tragicomical. I love the word, the made-up word.
Tragicomical.
All right, so there's my mobile-focused topics for today.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks. That's good. All right. I also have two topics. Both, or perhaps I should say neither one particularly huge, I don't think. So the first is that there's this large aluminum manufacturing company called Norsk Hydro that is undergoing a ransomware attack at the moment. And so this is something that industries outside the perhaps I should say industries that focus on manufacturing material things, like industries that have been around for a long time, often are not the ones that have the best computer security infrastructure, I would say. And I don't know Norsk Hydro from any other large metal company, but I guess I would say that in my experience, the financial sector tends to have a very strong motivation for some of this security. And then kind of as you move out from there are other industries that have less and less motivation or less and less sophistication. But so this says that they are currently, as of yesterday at least, undergoing a serious ransomware attack that forced it to shut down or isolate several plants and send several more into manual mode. And there's a picture on the threat post article that we'll post in the show notes that has a big paper sign that looks like it's taped to a glass entrance door or something like that says cyber attack against the Hydro network. Please do not connect any devices to the network. Do not turn on any devices connected to the Hydro network. Please disconnect any device from the network and await an update. So, my heart kind of goes out. I feel for these people. Some people and group of people are working essentially 24 hours to try to figure out what they can do and struggling to, have a recovery plan. And
what I've seen online is they have been out in front of this from a PR perspective, and
they do
doing a good job at keeping people informed as to what's going on. But yeah, it's still kind of in flight, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe some follow up next week if there's more news. But there was a comment about whether or not they're going to be paying the ransom, and there was a quote that said that I didn't pull the quote out of the article, but it said that their plan is to restore from backup. So hopefully that means they do have backups, which would be ideal and fantastic, and certainly not always the norm when you hear about a large ransomware attack. So maybe I shouldn't have been casting aspersions on their strength as a IT department. But the other comment I pulled out of here was, I guess two of which is that there was a quote that said that the malware doesn't require a network connection or a command and control server like other ransomware strains. So that kind of made me go, in that typically, if there's if you have a piece of ransomware that propagates via some other means, you either have to have a key that is distributed with the ransomware, or you have to generate one. If you want to have a different key for every quote unquote victim, then you have to generate one and somehow get the half of the key back or some code back to the command and control server
assuming you legitimately want to actually
presuming
ransom
that it is real legit and you're trying to actually send back a key. And because of course, if you distribute a symmetric key or with the with actual malware itself, well then one release of the key of the ability to decrypt would then be able to decrypt everything.
Right.
So you have to. Sorry, trying to think as a bad actor here, of course, but if I want to both encrypt your machine and my machine and have both of us pay, then I kind of have to make sure that your key is different from my key.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do things to try to protect against the transmission of that, but it can be generated on the server side and transmitted down via this. Anyway, there's ways that can be done, but this was an interesting comment that said that it doesn't require a CNC, which one of my thoughts on that, and I don't I don't have any idea if that's true, if this is true or not, but if something is particularly targeted, well then that might make sense, right? I mean, if you have a targeted threat, well then the malware itself is sufficient differentiable. So that was one thing that I'll be trying to look at in future articles to see if I can kind of tease out anything about that. And then the second comment that I thought was interesting is, and this was a quote from Rapid7, which is a vulnerability management company, that said, "This is the first time I can recall a cyber attack impacting the spot price of a global commodity like aluminum." So,
yep.
I guess that makes sense, though.
Yeah. So if you wanted to manipulate the markets, you used to have to control the weather, like the evil James Bond movies where they would control the weather to change the price of whatever commodity. Now you just have to throw some ransomware at the biggest players in the market, and you can shift the price around and probably make more money doing that than what you would get from the ransom.
You are an evil genius. I hadn't even really thought of that too, but yeah, you sell some futures and then, okay.
That's not unheard of. That's if it hasn't already happened, I'm sure that will be in the news more and more as we go forward.
Tell me about the orange juice crop report.
Yeah. I'm still going to make my dollar.
I think there's a good chance you do. So we have a bet. This is kind of follow. We have a bet from a couple of episodes ago, so we'll see.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. My second thing was actually, this is something that Raj Samani tweeted out the link to this. I think a couple days ago, but this was about a new Mirai variant. So the Mirai botnet was
from 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Right.
Thanks. IoT used to play massive denial of service attacks. There were a couple that happened at the time. But it has also continued to kind of be present for the last few years, primarily because the source code was released. And so that just means that it's nicely available. And so this particular variant had, I think 3 things that I thought was particularly interesting. The first of which is that so this variant adds support for attempting to log in to some enterprise devices, specifically some enterprise TVs and wireless presentation systems. Yeah, I must say, I was like, are these the same things we're using down at work?
Well, I assume the TVs are like the things you see in airports, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
It says LG Supersign TVs, and so I guess I didn't actually Google that separately to see what they look like. So that's interesting. So because enterprise devices,
right,
kind of crossing consumer IoT and anything else, and essentially this adds. It said 11 new exploits for a total of 27 that it can attempt to take advantage of. So, it's the sort of thing that you've got a kit and, this is trying a whole bunch of different things, including the struts vulnerability that, was used in the, Equifax breach last year. So that was interesting because that's something that has been patched long ago, but that doesn't mean everybody's patched. So, if you've got a huge, if you got a large botnet, just trying to find any vulnerability you can. So 11 new exploits, and then including the struts vulnerability, which was specifically called out and is still a problem to this day. So
because people don't patch their software.
Yeah. One of the fundamental problems is patches don't work. Patches cause problems too often. I guess is a thing. So, why do people not care so much about when Chrome gets updated? When was last time you had a failure of a Chrome update? And I'm sure it happens thousands of times a day across the globe, but that's across millions or tens or hundreds of millions of installs. And
right,
anyway, updating has to disappear into the ether from the average user's experience, and which it sort of already has on many consumer devices like iPhones and Android phones, where I'm not sure I have had a clean install of a phone in the last decade, but I presume that if you buy a new phone today, it comes with auto updates enabled. Maybe that's unfair. I don't know.
I know with iPhones, it asks you if you want to turn on auto updates.
Yeah.
As part of the setup process. I always say yes.
Yes. I think I have it auto updating my iPad, but not necessarily my phone. Sorry. He says as he's just calling out for things to automatically update. Yes, do as I say, not as I do. Oh, wait. Oh, that's evil.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. All right. But anyway, that was the second thing I thought was an interesting link this week. Check it out.
All right.
Nope.
My something fun?
All right. Yep. Let's do something fun.
All right. So last week, I think my something fun was a little bit tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. Time travel.
Solving time travel. But that actually spurred some, I don't know, brain cells that thought, well, maybe you should spend a little more time learning about quantum computing and how it works. And I found this great website, thanks to the same person who pointed me at the time travel article. She pointed me at this one. It's called quantum.country. So the website is quantum.country. And it is an education-y website that just goes through and slowly explains how quantum computing works. It does tell you, look, you do need a basic understanding of some advanced math, high school, college level math, vectors, vector multiplication, linear combinations, things of that nature.
Sorry, I'm actually reading the link.
Yeah,
I was letting you talk while I was reading the link.
But it's great because as it goes along, it gives you little flashcards and it asks you, okay, did you understand what you just read? Here's some questions, and then as you read them, and if you sign up for the website, and you can sign up with your phone number or an email address, it will send you reminders occasionally and quiz you on the stuff you had just learned. So it's, do you remember what a qubit is? Do you know what the two states of a qubit are and how they're represented and what they're called? It's called a ket. Things like that. So I'm actually kind of enjoying, I'm day 3 in now, and so I've got a couple reminder emails saying, hey, go here, run through your flashcards, do you remember? And I'm at about 60% retention rate on what I've learned so far. So give it another few months and maybe I will be able to explain quantum computing and have a conversation about quantum computing with someone.
This is presented in an experimental mnemonic medium.
Uh-huh.
The experimental mnemonic medium is daily quizzes?
Not daily quizzes, but it's a graduated quiz. So if you learn something, then it won't ask you about that thing again for 3 days. And if you forget, then it'll go back to, it'll ask you about it in 1 day. If you remember it after 3 days, then it'll ask you about it in, I think, 7 days. And then it'll ask you about it again in 14. So
I remember
how long you can retain
that.
Yeah. So
okay.
Anyways, I thought it was kind of fun to kind of sit back and dig through and do some elementary learning about quantum computing kind of at the mathematical level.
All right. And it helps if you can remember how to multiply matrices together, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Well, this looks really interesting.
If you're interested in quantum computing and how it works and you're not afraid of math, give it a look.
Huh. I feel like I've scrolled down quite a ways and
it's still scrolling, isn't it?
I'm only maybe a tenth of the way down. All right. Cool. I will have to check it out. I shouldn't do that while I'm being recorded, though.
Yeah. What's your fun?
Okay. I have something fun.
I actually know it.
This is... I have something fun. I am very robotic. All right, you can cut that out. So my something fun this week was an article from The Verge. Actually, I saw this from a Twitter conversation, but then there is an article on The Verge, so that's something we can easily link to. But that is an iPhone, an original iPhone prototype development board. So this is what they call it, M68.
Yeah.
Grab my thing here.
Well, it was like the code names were M68 or Purple 2.
Yeah. So this board is ginormous, and not, I guess, because it had to be, but more because they wanted. This is like those pictures where somebody goes and tears something down and lays out the parts on a table and says, this is everything that composes this. That's kind of the same thing, except it actually works. And I guess so that the whoever used this and worked on it didn't know what the final shape of the device was.
Right.
Which, I don't think it says in the article that they don't use boards this big these days. Because it looks like it's the size of, like a ATX motherboard.
It's bigger than a laptop, it looks like.
Yeah,
It's like the size of a laptop.
Yeah, it's
bigger.
It is huge. So, anyway, and it's got, this picture at least has got an actual phone screen in the lower right-hand corner of it, and I presume it's wired up so that that's where stuff would have shown up. But, there's all sorts of ports and other things on here for... there was a comment in here that said this was for the radio and... what was it? Radio and OS developers, I think. Yeah, it said software and radio portions of the original iPhone. So this is totally cool to get a chance to see, even if it's, a decade or what is it, 2000, I guess it's 12 years after release. But yeah, so it says to achieve the level of secrecy, Apple created special prototype development boards that contain nearly all of the iPhone's parts spread out across a large circuit board. So anyway, this is the thing. And in the Verge article, you can see they've kind of got pointers to what the different things on the board are, which is kind of cool. And then, I mean, if you really want to see the thread, and there was a number of Twitter comments I saw about this. I think it was Ken Cosienda that had posted some comments about this on Twitter that, because he was one of the original developers working on the original iPhone. And actually he wrote a book recently, which I haven't read yet, but I might, about the
I wonder
design of the original iPhone.
With how secretive Apple is, how did somebody walk out of the building with something this large? Although it's probably easier than I think it is.
I do not know. Anyway, I thought this was really cool. So check it out and and enjoy.
Very cool. Well, call it a night.
Call it a show. Call it a wrap.
Alrighty, you're a wrap.
Have a great evening, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right. See you, John.
Bye.
Bye.